AFR On Demand is brought to you by Breck Golf. Try Beaver Creek today, just 20 minutes from downtown Baton Rouge in the Zachary area. They've got a PGA Tour driving range, a short game practice area, 30 to 40-yard practice shots. It's a great place to chip and putt and practice if you don't have time for a full round. Book your tee time today, golf.breck.org, golf.breck.org.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Raising Cane studio.
Let's ride!
And off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. I'm Matt. I promise.
Love you, Matt.
I promise, I'm Matt. Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
You so. And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there, make it a go to. Man, we got a ton to do. Shea Dixon in 15 minutes. Chris Smith, who wrote the Vanity Fair piece, he's here next hour. Todd Walker will be here. Wilson Alexander has a piece on Lane Kiffin that dropped today. Wilson will be with us in hour 3. Let us begin as we do every single day.
It's time to pop the top on another edition of AFR with Bud Light. Drink easy.
Well, Lane Kiffin set the internet ablaze on Monday. The Vanity Fair piece was published, and by now we all know in that very extensive feature, the one thing that garnered so much attention was Lane Kiffin talking about how top recruits would tell him, quote, "Hey, coach, we really like you, but my grandparents aren't letting me move to Oxford, Mississippi." That doesn't come up when you say Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Parents were sitting here this weekend saying the campus's diversity feels so great, it feels like there's no segregation. So that was the quote from Lane Kiffin in Vanity Fair, and Ole Miss people melted. And quite honestly, I don't blame them. As we talked about a day ago, I'm not trying to rehash the entire story from a day ago. I get it. They are hurt. They're scorned. The greatest coach there that they've had since Johnny Vaught left them amid their playoff run for their rival. It stings. Nothing he ever says or does will ever make that better. I get it. And every time he says anything about Ole Miss, it's just going to be ripping the scab off the wound for those people, that fan base. I get it. I understand the feelings that Ole Miss people have. Now, Kiffin gave an interview to Wilson Alexander of On 3, and there's two things that Lane said in here that I think are really interesting to most people. One is an apology for those comments that went super viral on Monday. He said, quote, "I really apologize if anybody at Ole Miss or in Mississippi was offended by that. In a 4-hour interview, I was asked a lot of questions on a lot of things, and Ole Miss has been wonderful to me and my family. I was asked questions about the differences in recruiting, and I said a narrative that we battled there from some out-of-state black parents and grandparents was not wanting their kid to move to Mississippi. That's a narrative that coaches have been fighting forever. It wasn't calculated by bringing it up." Okay. I can even get there believing him that it wasn't calculated. I think maybe against my better judgment, because I think everything Lane Kiffin has shown is that he is a very calculated, thoughtful. I say it all, he's thoughtful, not considerate of others, just he thinks 2-3 steps ahead. And if he said that on the record, not knowing the reaction it was going to get, that's a miss by Lane Kiffin. I mean, that's a woeful miss. But again, I wasn't there. It's one of the reasons I'm excited to have Chris Smith on the show here in a little more than an hour to ask him some of the context around those things. I'd love to learn more about all that. But I think in the interview with Wilson Alexander, that wasn't the most significant thing. And honestly, if any group of fans can relate, it's LSU fans because of Nick Saban. Now, it's not what and what, because Saban didn't leave LSU for Ole Miss. Saban left LSU for the Dolphins. We've told this a bunch, but Saban's first year in Miami, he played in Tiger Stadium against the Saints in the Katrina year, and there were a ton of LSU and Saints fans cheering for Nick Saban in that game. It was only when he went to Alabama, but if you remember, and I was actually really surprised. I'm really curious how many LSU fans remember this, and I got a little thrown off today. Musso didn't remember it, and I asked Hunt when I came in here, and he didn't remember this either. So maybe you have to be of a certain age, but Nick Saban took that Alabama job New Year's Day of 2007. It was the day that LSU was playing Ole Miss in the Sugar Bowl. And a few days after that, audio leaked of Nick Saban talking to a group of Alabama media and boosters, and he used the word coon ass. He said he was relating a story. He didn't know he was being recorded, and he's relating a story, and I'm paraphrasing because, trust me, I feel I'm pretty good at finding stuff on the internet. I couldn't find this today. So if you have the audio of this, you know what I'm talking about, please send it to me. But Nick Saban said, I'm paraphrasing, he said, I was talking to one of the LSU board members, and he said he's walking down the street, and there's some coon ass working in a ditch who says, hey, you heard where Coach Saban signed on with Alabama? Feels like he's bleeping my wife. And that, go Google it. Just Google Nick Saban coon ass. You'll see it. It was a giant story at the time, and LSU fans who had supported Nick Saban, and even when he went to the Dolphins, felt scorned by that, like really hurt by that. And it created a ton of the animosity that built. I mean, that was really one of those, like, light the fuse moments. So to some degree, I think LSU fans can relate, but it's pretty clear there's a giant section of LSU fans that don't remember that from 2007. I mean, I guess it's been almost 20 years. But anyway, that apology from Kiffin, I don't even think is the biggest, the most impactful or important quote, for me anyway, in Wilson Alexander's piece. Earlier in the piece wasn't solely on the Vanity Fair reaction. It's late you can tell Wilson had this story queued up, ready to go, and he added the piece about the apology but the Vanity Fair thing at the end of it. Early in this feature, Lane Kiffin says about his decision to leave Ole Miss for LSU, he says, quote, I know that this will show for me being the right decision, meaning leaving Ole Miss for LSU. He continues, it may not be this year because everybody's going to want to compare the two places and everything like that. It'll show in year 2, 3. It's going to show that we have the same systems. We have all this stuff. We brought it here and combined it with the branding of LSU and the ability to sign elite high school players. That will show. It may not be next year, but this wasn't a one-year decision. During spring, there were a few times Lane Kiffin sort of pumped the brakes on expectations and even said, you need patience. It's going to take time. It even was quick to point out, I'm telling fans, it's not going to take years. It just takes time. That pretty clearly is Lane Kiffin saying, hey, Ole Miss may be better than us in 2026, but we're not worried. I didn't come here for 2026. I came here for the long tail. And I kind of think about 2007 that I just referenced. Remember, 2007, LSU won the national championship. 2007, Alabama went to the Independence Bowl and lost to ULM. In a one-year sample, you would look at the two and go, LSU won this deal. Over a decade and a half, there ain't no comparison. I think that's what Lane Kiffin is speaking to there. Say, don't just focus on 2026 because they got Chambliss and Kejuan Lacey. They may be better than us in 2026. Now, I have a feeling on that, but I think Lane is sort of dropping breadcrumbs out there to say, hey, this is still year one. Like, we established a really good thing over there. They got their quarterback returning and a 1,500-yard rusher, and they're the head coach was the defensive coordinator, and they got continuity there. Like, they may be better than us this year. It's what he's saying. And I'm here to tell you, he can say that all he wants. That ain't good enough. Because you go out there and you drop $40 million on the roster and you bring the coaching staff from there to here, the expectation is hit the ground running. Usually in a different era, when a coaching staff would take over, it's because a coach got fired and the situation was really bad. Well, sure, Brian Kelly got fired and the team went 7-6 last year, but they had really good culture and you had a good base of talent and you went and signed the number one portal class ever. The expectation is you better be in the college football playoff next year. you sure as hell better be better than Ole Miss immediately. So that, to me, was Lane Kiffin not even subtly saying they may be better than us in 2026, but long-term, this is going to work out well. Wonder how that's going to sit with LSU fans. What a day. Well, I'll tell you this much, man. Lane Kiffin, it is never boring. And as someone who is a content creator, my dude is like, he's like a pipe dream covering Lane Kiffin. I hope he never leaves. For that reason exactly. All right, it's after further review. Show Open Every Day is brought to you by Bud Light. Drink easy with the great taste of Bud Light, the official beer of AFR, the official beer of your Fighting Tigers of LSU. Softball at Tiger Park. Baseball at the Box this weekend. Getting out to support the Tigers. Make sure you have plenty of delicious ice cold Bud Light. If you're going to be at your favorite bar, restaurant, make sure you ask for it specifically. They still got some of those national champion aluminum bottles, the commemorative bottles floating around town in cans. If you want to look for them at your favorite retailer, it's Bud Light. Drink easy with the great taste of the Tigers, Bud Light. All right, it's after further review, y'all. But I got a quick break. Tuesday shows are powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Every Tuesday, we visit with Shea Dixon from On 3, the Bengal Tiger. We'll do it next on AFR.
AFR.
Man, I love telling you about our friends over at the Watermark and the Renaissance. Watermark Downtown, Renaissance Southtown. Watermark Baton Rouge, Baton Rouge's premier hotel property. That's not even me saying it. Best of 225, the best hotel. You voted Watermark the best hotel in the best of 225. It's gorgeous. The original Louisiana National Bank building downtown Baton Rouge. I tell you all the time, they've preserved so much of the historical integrity of that building while adding modern amenities. I had one LSU staff member text me over the weekend that they had some recruits in town and took them for breakfast or brunch maybe at Watermark downtown. So if you've never been to the Gregory, great spot for breakfast, lunch, dinner, Sunday brunch. Book a day at the Gregory there. Maybe you got some clients. Take them to a business lunch downtown at Watermark, Baton Rouge. Or if you got an event coming up, remember they're always thrilled to host you downtown at the beautiful Watermark Hotel at the corner of 3rd and Convention. Check them out downtown. It's Watermark, Baton Rouge.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Every Tuesday, take a little time, talk recruiting with Shea Dixon from On 3, the Bengal Tiger. Joins us now. Shady, how are you? All right, let's check with Shea. Shady? Shea? All right, let's see if we can connect. Not sure what's going on there. Try to get Shea there on the video call. So, all right, it's after further review. We're glad to have you aboard with us. We'll hook up with Shea. Rough day for Ole Miss, who's become like a verbal punching bag, not only from Lane Kiffin, but I'm not sure if you saw Steve Sarkisian also. I don't know the context behind why Sark did this, but he basically just took a jab at Ole Miss academics, talked about basket weaving and stuff. We'll get to that in a bit. All right, we have Shea. Shea, how are you, man?
I think I could hear y'all. You couldn't hear me, but that happens whenever you're broadcast on radio and I'm on a phone.
We're good, man. Loud and clear. We appreciate it as always. Hey, I love the photo you posted from Saturday. Easton Royal, Brother Martin, shout out, Brothers of Sacred Heart. A state champion sprinter, and the photo framed beautifully with LSU Tiger Stadium logo right in the background as Easton Royal holds his state championship trophy. Did we learn anything about Easton Royal this weekend with what do you run, a 10-1-7 in the 100?
That is exactly what he ran, which is a head-turning number. So, and I guess the one thing we learned to start off is, even better than me taking that photo and sharing it, Easton had the photo taken of him and shared it, and then I asked Easton if I could use it. So he was the one, the Texas commit, that puts out him and his gear, which he was wearing LSU gear all day, but in the backdrop of is Tiger Stadium, and there he's at the LHSA state track meet, standing on the winner's podium, a 10-1-7, which, I mean, look, there wasn't any, we're not talking like the Mississippi was blowing winds where you and I could have been out there putting down times. This kid he is a 5-star number 1 receiver in the country for good reason. but a 10-1-7 is just a completely different level. And I think I was looking at the numbers. It had been maybe since like 1980 since someone had even, the record he broke for all classifications in LHSAA state, title runs, not district or any meets, was in the 10-2s. So like maybe he'd been in 10-2 flat. So he goes under 10-2 for the first time in at least since 1980. You can date it back to before then, but that is a kid who is your number one receiver, and he's got an LSU track offer. He's got a lot of track offers, obviously, but think of, remember we talked about this with like Jelani Watkins, and he was going to run for LSU track, and he was putting down like he came close at LSU before he transferred out to breaking 10 flat in track and field. He was training with Team USA in high school, not like at a camp, like where you go in and you hook up the machines to you and they're testing everything with a goal to be, hey, maybe one day I can be a Team USA sprinter. You've got a kid in Easton Royal running a 10-1-7, Matt, who wants to play football. Like that's the goal here. And I think that just drives home what type of athlete we're talking about, and then makes all the more sense why Lane Kiffin is going all out really to get him.
We did see, though, over the weekend, Shea, Easton Royal shared a Rivals graphic, so I guess sort of reaffirming his commitment to Texas. What do we make of this?
That he's a junior in high school having fun would probably be what I'd chalk that up to.
All right.
Look, and I'll speak to this. I've got a nephew who goes to Brother Martin, who's that age, and that's exactly the type of stuff he would do too if he were a 5-star number one recruit. So I think that as soon as that LSU sort of kind of buzz took off, I mean, look, he showed up to the state track meet as a Texas commit in all LSU gear. And he's talked so much about LSU and the moves they've made. And I think that just kind of, if you're sarking them, you're saying, hey, where do things stand? And hey, look, it could be that. It's, hey, look, all right, I'll put it out there. Like I am still committed, just so everyone knows. But at the same time, here come his wave of official visits. So I think we'll know, Matt, it's May 12th. By the end of June, I think we know, okay, he's sticking with Texas or he's not.
Okay. It's interesting. I did have last summer, Keelan Moses was recording a podcast. I helped him produce it here in our studio. And he had his teammate Lamar Brown come in with him. It was like a Sunday night. And Lamar Brown rolled up here in Oregon gear. And I was like, you try to read between the lines. And truth is, dude went on a trip, got a bunch of Oregon gear and liked it. So he wore the Oregon gear. It's like we tend to read more into stuff like that sometimes, I think, to your point, than maybe what a high school student may infer. Now, Royal's obviously the top target, but what about the rest of the receiver board, Shea?
Yeah, it's so interesting. We've talked about this before with Braylon Calais coming out of Cecilia. He's ranked as a top 5 athlete nationally, but he's committed to LSU at receiver. And then they've also got another commitment at receiver, but out of Florida when they picked up Amari Stevens. So 2 receivers. You're trying to flip a guy like Easton Royal. We know they've got Ahmad Hudson in as the number 1 tight end. They've got Jaden Bryan in as a top edge rusher. And then Peyton Houston, your quarterback commit, a top 10 quarterback. All of those guys are, I'm looking right now. Everyone's in the Rivals 300, all but one, Stevens, the kid out of Florida, are ranked in the top 200. And every single one of them beyond Stevens is ranked in the top 10 at their position. So these are elite kids, but you got 2 receivers. How many more do you need when you came off of this massive portal haul of 10 plus guys and you sign some guys? And I think it'll end up in that 4 to 5 range. And look, we talked about it last week. I still think Miguel Whitley over at St. Aug is a kid that ends up at LSU. He's a top 150 player. He's a 4-star recruit. And just if Easton Royal weren't playing at Brother Martin and in the Catholic League and over in New Orleans or even in Louisiana, everyone would be talking about Miguel Whitley over there. But Easton just dominates that conversation. Miguel's a hell of a player. So let's say at a dream world, right? You get those 2 and you keep the 3 best receivers at right now highest ranked in Louisiana, and you went to Florida and got one. Well, they've got a wave of official visitors set up here. I know Amari Patterson is one that a lot of people have talked about. He's coming out of South Carolina, but has had high interest in LSU. But there's been Aiden Starling, who is a kid who has been on the board for a while, had an offer. He's from Pearland, goes to Shadow Creek, which he'll be a senior, Matt, at Shadow Creek, a year younger than him is Joe Adai's son, who's the number one prospect in Texas. And a year younger than that is Brandon LaFell's son, who's one of the top young prospects. So he's on that crew of teams. We've talked about him before.
Right.
He decommits from Georgia this week. Now, all of a sudden, he's set up an official visit that he's now locked in for LSU. And there's others. So, look, I know as much as y'all do right now about how LSU recruiting at a position like receiver on offense, which is, outside of quarterback, something Lane's going to be and running back very curious and interested in and hands-on with to an extent. How many do you take? And I think that we'll start to learn that as we get through this first recruiting cycle, and he balances it with how many guys they already have on roster.
Shea, I got a couple more for you. Shea Dixon's with us on 3 The Bengal Tiger. We're talking a lot about 27, but there is still a question about the 26 roster. We know they had Levante Williams, the JUCO corner. And I understand they had some JUCO visitors this past weekend. Can you catch somebody who was here? What are they targeting?
Yeah, Lane, let me go back real quick. I realized there's going to be some younger listeners out there. Joe Adai and Brandon LaFell are former LSU football players who were elite ones and are now making us feel very old because they have kids who are in high school that have LSU offers. So if you didn't know that and you're younger, great. Then you don't feel as old as Matt and I and everyone else that's driving around or listening wherever they're listening right now. So yes, the cornerback outlook. We talked about it a week ago. You may have asked him, but what was Lane Kiffin's concern coming out of spring ball with no spring portal window, meaning no FBS transfers? And he said corner. Aiden Anding got hurt. We didn't take anyone from the portal. We have guys, but beyond DJ Pickett and PJ Woodland, who are your starters, you don't have a ton of experience. Like Jakeem Jackson was one of the best corners in America when he signed with Corey Raymond at Florida and then came to LSU. He's just been hurt. People are raving about a younger guy like Haven Finney. Well, he reclassified and just got here as an early enrollee. Is maybe number 4 on the depth chart, 4 or 5. You're not trying to have to rely on that with no experience yet. So I think that, look, we're not looking for starters, is what Lane Kiffin was saying. We're looking for depth. And that first weekend, Matt, they brought Levante Williams in from Georgia Military Academy, JUCO corner, and he committed while he was there. Got an offer, came and visited, committed. So Anding has the Achilles injury, which you had reported on, and Kiffin confirmed. So he's probably out for however long into the season. Now at least you've got Levante Williams, right? You've got a JUCO kid at corner that you can kind of sub into that spot. But this past weekend, they had 2 more. Javier Jones, who is a kid that goes to Independence in Kansas. He's from Arizona. He was one of 2 visitors. He did not get offered. He committed to Florida today. So there's a lot of schools out here trying to do this route, right? Like, who's in JUCO? Who can we add after spring ball? The other one was Dylan Johnson. He got offered, but didn't commit and hasn't really blown up. He had a Kansas State offer. He got an NC State offer. They're going to go in home with him this week. And he told me might visit Auburn this weekend, but I don't know how. I think that staff was trying to figure out where things stood. And I think on the LSU, if you're an LSU fan, you're a little surprised. Hey, why would a kid not just commit? You've got a chance to go from Itawamba, right, Mississippi, to go to LSU. But he told me, look, I came out of Baldwin, Mississippi. I had no offers. This week, I got some of my first big offers. I've never been invited on an official visit, and my first one's LSU. Like, I'm just trying to take all of this in right now. And you can tell it's not an NIL thing. It's none of that. It's, hey, what am I wanting to do now that I have options? Because at LSU, they're looking for depth. At NC State, maybe he's a little bit higher up on the depth chart they're looking for. So we'll see how that unfolds. But Dylan Johnson out of Itawamba is the one to watch right now if they're going to take more than one JUCO corner who, most importantly, Matt, can be on the team this year.
Shea Dixon from On 3, the Bengal Tiger. Get him at Shea Dixon. Hey, one more before you go. Apparently LSU's got another another official visit lined up. Davion Jones, whose teammates with the top cornerback in the country right there in North Carolina. What can you kind of fill us? I don't know we've talked about Jones yet. Shea, what's going on there?
Yeah, we might have talked about him a couple months ago whenever they had offered, because they offered him, and then he transferred into William Amos in Charlotte, and so did Dobson, who Josh Dobson's Corey Raymond's number one corner target. So neither of these guys were even on this team last year. Now they're both teammates, and Dobson's out here ranked as a 5-star corner. Well, Jones is number 11 safety in the country right now. We're talking a very elite player. And today he trimmed it down, said, I've got a top 5, and that 2 schools were kind of out front for him. And more locally, said it's in South Carolina and Georgia. But he's now going to make these official visits and finally get to see an LSU up close, an Indiana up close, who was on one of his final 5 and is going to get one of those 5 official visits, and then he'll decide from there. So by no means are him and Dobson a package deal. Like I said, they just became teammates this offseason, but they are both highly recruited. And if I'm looking up and down their top teams, really the one common denominator is LSU here. If you're looking at kind of the who's who of teams that maybe really have a shot at both. So something to keep an eye on. We know that actually A. Nanding's little brother, Jade Nanding, is a safety in this class in Louisiana and has an offer, but isn't committed. We think he'll end up at LSU, but you add more than that. So they'll have to go out of state most likely. And this is a guy who's sitting right there atop the wish list, not just because he's Dobson's teammate, but a top 150 overall prospect. So you're looking at a situation, Matt, where Jake Olson and Corey Raymond tandem to visit this week, right? They both go to Charlotte at the same time and meet with both of them. So we'll see. Like I said, those guys have that visit set up on the same weekend. Package deal, no, but could they both end up at the same school? Sure. But the only common one they have is LSU right now.
Shea Dixon on 3, the Bengal Tiger. You can get his stuff there. Go subscribe, or you can always follow him at Shea Dixon. Shea, we always appreciate the time, man. Thank you.
Thanks for having me on, Matt.
All right, man. Be well. It's after further review. Can you imagine? Can you imagine if you got knocked over the head in the year 2021? You went into a coma. It wake you up in 2026. You pull up the old internet machine, and you learn that LSU's in the mix for a top 10 safety in the country. It's LSU, Georgia, Auburn, South Carolina. That all's appropriate. And the 5th team is Indiana. Oh, it must be from Indiana, right? Kid's from Indiana, isn't he?
Has to be.
Got to be from Indiana. Grew up, his dad was a Hoosier. Got to be.
It's legacy. Yeah, 100%, man. Oh, yeah.
No, he's from Charlotte.
Oh.
Yeah.
North Carolina? That Charlotte?
Is there another one?
I'm sure there is. I don't know, though. I mean, yeah.
God bless. What a time to be alive. All right, it's after further review. We are brought to you by Parrish Construction and Roofing. Hey, boy, just Friday was the weather. Friday was atrocious, and Saturday for that matter. And then last night the deluge continued. Listen, I know I was over at the Parrish office earlier today. It's just a fact of life. When it rains, our phones ring, because when it rains, it's when people realize they got roof issues. If that's you at your home or at your commercial property, we'd love to help you out. Tell you all the time, do business with someone you know. Parrish Construction and Roofing. ParrishBuilt.com, ParrishBuilt.com. Just go to the website, ParrishBuilt.com. Fill out the form on the homepage. We'll be in touch. Lickety-split, ParrishBuilt.com, ParrishBuilt.com. Most importantly, though, even if you don't call us, the thing I say often is, please just call a reputable contractor, like someone who's licensed, who's from here, a name you recognize. So many contractor services just get flooded with, they're like cockroaches, man. Storm comes and then boom, people just like magnets come to the area. And the challenge, tell you all the time, man, is you don't know if they're going to do great work. And what if you hire them to do the work, save a few bucks, they're gone, something goes wrong, then who do you call? Well, you end up calling the reputable companies who are here and have been here and will continue to be here. So that's why I always say, do business with someone you know. Parrish Construction and Roofing, ParrishBuilt.com, ParrishBuilt.com. All right, thanks to Shea Dixon. We appreciate it. 45 minutes from right now, Chris Smith will be here. He's the one who wrote the Vanity Fair feature on Lane Kiffin. Want some context around that conversation? Someone who got to spend a lot of time one-on-one with Lane Kiffin. Yes, the comment that's gone viral and gotten a lot of attention. I want to ask about that, but really, just the time he got to spend with Kiffin in totality. We'll do that coming up in about 45 minutes. Let me know. I got a break. When we come back, go around the SEC, and a big game in Tiger Stadium got bigger with some news today. We'll get to it next on AFR.
AFR.
Popped into Goodwood earlier today. Got to chat with Gabe and Mary. I was actually going to pick up my NAD+. That's one of the peptides that I take. NAD+ is for cellular optimization. You want to talk about natural energy levels through the roof? Take NAD+. I'm telling you, if it's, yes, at Goodwood, they do ED treatments. If you got ED, they can help. And it's not just a little blue pill. It's tons of different treatments that they offer that can help whatever your specific issue is. So much more than that. Hormone replacement therapy is an option. Literally every single one of us, as we age, our bodies produce less of the hormones that contribute to how we feel. Every one of us. And it happens slowly over time, and sometimes it's so gradual you don't even realize how bad you feel until you start feeling good again. A simple blood test can let you know if you're a candidate for HRT. And, of course, they've got dozens of different peptide options. If you want to learn how you can take back control of your life and feel your best, yourgoodwood.com. Log on today and schedule an appointment. yourgoodwood.com.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Plowing these fields in the hot summer sun. Over by the gate, Lordy, here she comes with a basket full of chicken and a big cold jug of sweet tea.
A big shout out to all the LSU students graduating in agriculture over at LSU Ag from our friends over at Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Bunky and below, you want a deer, you're going to Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Pete Nakos over at On3 earlier today reported that College Game Day, Week 1, will be in Baton Rouge for LSU Clemson. That may seem obvious, but quite honestly, it is a little surprising because there is just like the most obvious decision of the entire 2026 college football season for the ESPN College Game Day producers is going to be going to Oxford, Mississippi, September the 19th for LSU Ole Miss. That will be the biggest singular storyline of the college football season. There may be bigger games. Later in the season, you may have 1 versus 2 matchups. Like, there may be bigger games, but if you're just talking about the storylines, the intrigue, the undeniable attention that's going to center around a game in all angles, LSU Ole Miss, September the 19th in Oxford, that Lane Kiffin going back, there's nothing that will rival that. There's no sense in even trying to conceptualize anything. There's just nothing else that will even come close to rivaling it. So they're going to be in Oxford Week 3. So this means that 2 of the first 3 weeks, College Game Day is going to have an LSU game, which is a bit odd because they do like to change it up a little bit. So maybe just a little surprising from that end. LSU Clemson is, of course, going to be the biggest game of Week 1. So that's not really the question. It's just the fact that they would have LSU 2 out of the first 3 weeks. Now, look, LSU's got plenty of huge opportunities later in the season as games may continue to be even bigger. But you look at that opening weekend of the college football season, you got Alabama, Florida State. You have Texas at Ohio State. No, forgive me, that was this year. Sorry. But you got the return trip. So you got some big games in Week 1. Clemson LSU is going to be by far the biggest of them. But again, it just means they'll have LSU 2 of the first 3 weeks, but it looks like that's what's going to happen. All right, it's after further review. Thanks for hanging out with us here. Always love telling you about Evermore. Y'all stay hydrated, man. As it gets warmer outside, make sure that you're staying hydrated. Whether you're sweating or not, your body is losing hydration, you're losing water. Make sure you're staying hydrated, drinking plenty of water. The recommendation is you drink a half an ounce per weight of your body. So if you weigh 200 pounds, you should be drinking 100 ounces of water a day. A couple of these 64-ounce Evermore bottles, that'll do it, man. Pop in any of your favorite retailers, grab a 4-pack of the 64-ounce bottles, even if you just drink one of them a day. Stay ahead of your hydration. They got the 64, the 32, the 20-ounce bottles. Whichever size best suits your life, your lifestyle. Bring it with you to the gym. If you're an endurance athlete, a high-level athlete, a better form of hydration, natural artesian water, and a Louisiana product, it's Evermore. EVAMOR. Evermore.com. Evermore.com. You can find the retailer nearest you at evermore.com, or you can buy it online at evermore.com. Make sure you support a great Louisiana product, healthier alternative. It's delicious. It's Evermore, EVAMOR, evermore.com. All right, it's After Further Review. Glad you're hanging out with us here. We do it every day about this time. Let's go around the SEC.
Around the SEC, bringing you the biggest news from the nation's best conference. The Florida Gators.
John Summerall landed a commitment from a JUCO cornerback, Javier Jones, 6'1", 185 out of Independence Community College in Kansas. Got 3 years of eligibility remaining. 10 games this past season. Jones finished with 12 tackles and 5 PBUs.
The Alabama Crimson Tide.
Big win on the recruiting trail for the 2027 class. 4-star prospect linebacker Kenneth Simon out of Brentwood, Tennessee. He's committed to Kalen DeBose and the Crimson Tide. Georgia, Tennessee, and Ole Miss were the other finalists. 6'2", 210, the number 7 linebacker in the country, number 133 overall.
The South Carolina Gamecocks.
4-star wideout Javian Robinson has picked the Gamecocks. He's out of Pennsylvania. 4-star for the class of 2027. His other finalists were Rutgers and Syracuse. 6'1", 175. He's number 400 overall.
The Auburn Tigers.
And one note on the hardwood. Auburn announced a neutral site game with Wisconsin for the upcoming season. It'll be at Bridgestone Arena in Nashville on Saturday, December the 19th. The two squads have met once before. It was a non-conference game in Texas in 2006. Badgers coming off their 7th trip to the NCAA tournament under Greg Gard. Auburn coming off the NIT championship in Stephen Pearl's first season. All right, there you have it. That is Around the SEC. Tuesday shows, as always, are powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Steve Sarkisian garnered headlines twice today. Once is, I don't want to say poor Ole Miss, but like kind of poor Ole Miss. Sark just ripped the academic standards at Ole Miss, and I don't know why he targeted Ole Miss. I mean, it's, I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of schools in the SEC where this might be true, but this was less than 24 hours after the Vanity Fair piece drops, talking about recruiting issues Lane Kiffin had because of race at Ole Miss. Steve Sarkisian, in an interview with USA Today, said, quote, about Ole Miss, quote, all you have to do is this is a quote, by the way. This is not paraphrased. There's no inference. Quote, the Texas head football coach, quote, all you have to do is take basket weaving and you can get an Ole Miss degree. Bro. I mean, John Summerall, who was an assistant at Ole Miss, took a jab at Sark on X, saying, grateful to a coach at a top 10 public university that also offers basket weaving. Florida is a great academic university, by the way. But Sark said, look, he said, quote, at Texas, we'll only take 50% of a player's academic credit hours. You may be a semester from graduating, but you're going all the way back to 50% if you play here and you want a degree. But at Ole Miss, they can take you. All you have to do is take basket weaving, and you can get a degree at Ole Miss. I don't know who Ole Miss pissed off or why they pissed everybody off, but they are the runt that's taking everybody's jabs today. I don't know the context and why Sark felt the need to do that. Essentially extolling the academic virtues of Texas, and now still in an era where it's still college football and guys' objectives is to go get a degree. And he said, less than 5% of these guys are going to go play professional football. So sort of extolling the merit of a degree. But, man, what a way to do it. Careful pointing the finger, man. I have 3 more pointing back at you. All right, it's After Further Review. But Sark wasn't done. He also weighed in on a 24-team college football playoff. We'll get to that next on AFR.
After Further Review.
As the weather clears up, great opportunity to get by and see our friends over at Clegg's Nursery. Any of the 4 locations, you know where they are. Siegen near Airline, LA 16 in Denham, Mid-City on Donmore, and the Garden Center on Greenwell Springs. Tell you every day to buy local and shop local over at Clegg's Nursery. Yes, they got everything you need if you want to plant flowers, beautiful flowers this time of year, your fall, your spring and summer blooms, as they are bursting with blooms in their greenhouses. But they also have everything you need to get rid of all the unwanted pests, like, if you had weed or weed grass. They have Decimate, which is a weed and grass killer that they got over there at Clegg's Nursery. You could pick that up. Tell you all the time about the Aeon Mosquito Barrier. You want to knock out mosquitoes for 90 days at a time, do it affordably. Boom, they can help you out there as well. It's at Clegg's Nursery. Get on by and tell them Matt sent you in. Buy local, shop local for more than 60 years. It's Clegg's Nursery.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Just look at her face. She ain't a fooling me. She thinks my track.
The comment Steve Sarkisian made, sort of taking a shot at Ole Miss, the basket weaving comment, was part of a long feature piece in an interview he did with USA Today. Interesting that dropped simultaneous or coinciding with when the Lane Kiffin Vanity Fair feature dropped. This one was far more about football. It is interesting that a chunk of this was dedicated to the college football playoff. One thing that Steve Sarkisian and I absolutely do agree with is he basically took aim at the schools for continuing to sue instead of abiding by the rules. He said, quote, "We all signed up to be a part of the NCAA, and then we allegedly make the rules. Everyone knows the rule." He wanted, quote, "Everyone knows the rules, right? Then we go to our attorney general and say, we don't like that rule, let's just sue. Right now, no one's afraid of the consequences." Steve Sarkisian and I agree on that wholeheartedly. It's one thing I've said over and 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 over again here, which is, you want to fix all the issues with college football, it's easy. It starts with the university presidents. You voluntarily agree to be a part of the NCAA. NCAA sets the rules. You don't like it, you sue. Like, if the university presidents had a spine and just said, no Trinidad Chambliss, no Joey Aguilar, like, the NCAA ruled you ineligible, no Brendan Sorsby, you bet on sports, you're ineligible. But instead they go sue. Like, that's the problem. The university presidents need to have a spine, but they won't, because they're guided by the almighty dollar as well, and they need football to be good. So here we are. Steve Sarkisian did also blast the College Football Playoff Selection Committee, and which, I'm certainly on board with that. He and I differ, however, in a big way, because Sark's way to fix the college football playoff is not going to 24. He wants to go backwards. Sark says, quote, "I'd go back to a 4-team playoff and have your own conference playoff to get the 4 teams in if you want more inventory for your television partners. We have to think outside the box. Just adding teams and going to 24, that's a very spastic view, thinking that's going to solve the problem. Forever in college athletics, we don't think about the unintended consequences of decisions we make. It's all knee-jerk reactions. Look where it has gotten us." I can tell you where it's gotten you. It's gotten you where college athletics has never been more profitable or more viewed. It's just that now the free labor is making money because the adults in the room screwed this up for 100 years. That's the truth, Steve. But where I disagree with him on going back to 4 is, in his estimation, if he's saying, like, hold a conference playoff to get the 4 teams into the big playoff, well, that's assuming all conferences are equal. And that's just not the case. In some instances, 4 teams from the SEC may be better than the best team from the Big 12. There may be 3 teams from the Big 10 that are better than the best team from the ACC or more deserving. So just because they play in a better conference, a better, deeper conference, those other teams don't have the opportunity to compete. That's what I've railed against forever. I don't think JMU and Tulane should be in just to appease the smaller schools. Let's have a true meritocracy. You go to 24, no auto bids. The best 24, not chosen by the committee, by a power system that's agreed upon before the season so everybody knows the rules going in. It's not the arbitrary viewpoint, the subjective viewpoint of a bunch of dopes in a hotel ballroom. That's what I've railed on forever. Have a predetermined standard. The top 24 teams based on that standard are in the playoff, and then you go have games on the field. Give me more football, not less. Sark and I agree on a lot, but not on the regression, not going back to 4. 4 is not what we need in college football. 4 is not inclusive. 4 is exclusionary. That only creates more problems and more issues. Miami this year is a great example of that. Miami wouldn't have been in a 4-team playoff. They played all the way to the national championship. Ole Miss would not have been in a 4-team playoff. They made it to the semifinals. Let's have games on the field to determine it. Literally every other sport does it. Why is that a foreign concept for college football? Hey, Sark, if there were 24, your team would have been in. And they would have had the opportunity to go prove that by the end of the season, they were one of the best teams in the country. Go play it out. All right, it's after further review. Tuesday show is powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Chris Smith from Vanity Fair in 20 minutes.
After further review.
We're brought to you by Shaw Bills Tire and Auto Service, ShawBillsTire.com, ShawBillsTire.com. Name brand tires at wholesale prices, and they keep coming back because they treat you like family over at Shaw Bills. Driving around this past weekend or last night in that rain, sliding around the roads because you're going to tread left on those tires, man, get on by Shaw Bills. Don't leave it to chance. When you get that precious cargo in the car, your family, spouse, children, whoever it may be, you want to make sure that you're safe. Buy the best tires on the road. Shaw Bills make sure that you get the best tires on the road at the best price. They'll combine the manufacturer offer with their in-house offer to make sure you get the best price on the best tires. They guarantee it. Part of the Charlie's doesn't. Buy tires at Shaw Bills. Find those tires advertised cheaper somewhere else. They'll refund you 125% of the difference. Price match guarantee over at Shaw Bills. ShawBillsTire.com. Shop tires, schedule service. Shaw Bills. We keep you rolling.